In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make a hand-built spout for a teapot. This is going to be a 2-day process, so this is day number 1. The first thing you're going to want to do is gather your materials. Here I have a little bit of clay, a wooden dowel, and also the body of my teapot. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, or second thing, is you want to create a coil. This is a typical coil that you've made when coil building or any other project. Now there's going to be one little difference. You're going to want to make sure that it's tapered. And what that means is as you roll it, you want to make sure that one side is a little bit wider than the other. Once you have that, you're going to take your wooden dowel and insert it into your coil. Make sure that you try to get it as centered as possible. If it's a little bit off, that's okay, but the more centered it is, the more even your spout will be. Once you have it all the way through, you are going to squeeze the smaller end of the spout to thin it out and mold it to the shape of the dowel. Then you are going to take the dowel and roll the spout on the table to widen out that center hole. You can see here that as I roll it, it stretches the clay outwards. So take a look at that. It's a lot wider than just one dowel width. Keep on going and squeeze the spout as you go to mold it into the dowel. You can see here, I'm just taking my fingers and squeezing it. And if it folds at all, I just take my finger and smooth it out a little bit to make it nice and even. Go ahead and keep on rolling. All right, so now I have the basic shape for my spout. What I'm doing now is I'm using the needle tool to refine the shape and pinch it and mold it. Now, if you don't want a straight spout, that's fine. You can see here that I am going to mold it and give a little curve to it. So right now I'm just fixing up the top of it. So I'm looking at my images and I'm going to try to make it so it's a little bit more shapely. So what you can do is take your fingers and put them on the inside and stretch out the spout where you need it to go in order to create your shape. You can just mold it, kind of move it with your fingers. I'm also cutting the lip or the spout at an angle so it mimics the ones in the drawings. Now, right here, I just want you to watch. This is a review of all the steps sped up so that you can see how I create a different type of spout. Okay, so now I have two nice spouts to work with, and I'm going to let them get leather hard. And this is the second day, and now I'm ready to start attaching it. So here are those two leather hard spouts. And before we attach them, I want to show you some design consideration that you should pay attention to. So in these two drawings, you see the spout at one a little lower and one a little higher. So the one that is low, you can actually only fill the teapot with the half amount of tea, whereas the bottom one you can fill the whole way. If you have more questions about this, go ahead and ask me. Okay, so now it's time to start attaching it. So step 8, you're going to want to trim the spout to fit the teapot body. This is an example of a teapot spout that is trimmed to fit, and it's also it could be placed a little bit higher. Now this is my second spout, and it still needs to be trimmed. So when you put your spout next to your body, look at the angle, and in your mind, think about where you need to trim it at an angle so that it will fit flush onto the body of the teapot. Okay, so now I'm going to start trimming it into place at that angle. Now, when I start doing this, I really want to pay attention that it's going to be even. So you'll see here that I make a little mark of where the top and bottom is so that I really can figure out where I need to cut. I'm going to have you guys use an X-Acto knife for this. And what I would do first is before you actually cut it, is to trace it with the X-Acto knife first and then cut all the way through. Okay, so now that I have it fitting flush with the teapot body, I'm going to focus on the lip of the spout and trim it to the correct proportions. So when I was looking at it, it seemed a little bit too long. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it a little bit so that it looks a little better. Now, you don't have the handle on at this time. So once the handle's on, the proportions will look a little bit better, but you do want to trim up that end of the spout and make it look how you would like. Okay, so now that I've trimmed that one spout, I have two here that I have as options. I looked at both and you can see here, I'm gonna put this one on. That one was okay, but I feel like I like the other one better. So I'm gonna work with this spout, and in the next step, I am gonna show you how to attach it. Okay. Okay, so the first step is to draw a center line on the teapot. This is really going to help when it comes to getting the handle and the spout aligned later on. So this line is as a guide. You can use a needle tool or you can use the wooden dowel that you use to make the spout. So now that you have that center line, go ahead and take your spout, and we are going to step 11, place the spout on the teapot where you would want it. Make sure that it's straight, make sure that it's centered, and it's where you want it. Okay, so now that you know where it goes, go ahead and trace it with the needle tool so you know where it's going to be placed and where you need to score and slip. So you just trace the outer line of the teapot. And so we need to figure out where the inner line is going to be. And that's what you're going to trace. So you have this little ring in there, which is basically where you're going to need to score and slip. But before you attach it, you need to cut the hole. So go ahead and use a X-Acto knife to cut a round hole where the water will go from the teapot body and out through the spout. Now that you have that, you can score and slip exactly how we've done for all of our projects. Make sure you use the end of the needle tool, scratch a lot, add water, scratch again, and you want to do that on both sides. And when you do this, make sure that you're getting that paste so that when you attach it, it oozes out a little bit on the sides. Okay, so once you attach it and you get that little ring of slip on the outside, use your finger or a brush to clean it off and make it look smooth. Now I'm envisioning my handle on there, and I think the proportions will look pretty good. Now, when I was looking at the spout, I want it to look like it's coming out of the teapot body. So what I'm going to do is actually score and slip a little coil along the outside of it to give it a little bit more dimension there. You do not have to do this, but if you want, it will give a different look to your spout. All right, so those are the steps to put this spout on your teapot body. As it gets leather hard, I'll probably smooth it out a little bit more. And the next step is making and attaching a handle.